Hi, guys.
So we're going to do a 30-minute Q&A. Welcome, guys, Seth and Lauren. First of all, how are you liking Vermont so far?
Good. Very good. Yeah, very nice.
Love it. And we were talking about Ben and Jerry's. You haven't been there yet.
No, I haven't yet, but not at all. But yeah, thanks.
Let's open it up directly to the audience. Who's got a question? Right here.
What were your thoughts on fraternities before you were offered this role in the film, like during the role in the film, and now that we have raised the most money?
Exactly. I mean, it's interesting. I'm from Canada. We don't really have fraternities there in the same structure they have them here. So, in all honesty, most of the stuff that I knew about fraternities was from movies, like Animal House and Old School and stuff like that. And one of our producers who I work with, like we're friends, he was in a fraternity, and honestly, Zac Efron probably knew the most people in fraternities out of anyone who was really making the movie, and he really, you know, wanted to make sure that it kind of spoke to the fraternity life and the brotherhood and kind of upheld the good sides of the fraternity system and not just the partying and filling your house with weed smoke, that kind of stuff, which is also good, don't get me wrong, but the more productive sides of it, I guess. But after meeting all you guys, I mean, again, it's amazing. Like, I think movies like mine do not do you service, so I apologize. But yeah, I mean, there's so much charitable and goodwill that happens from these organizations that it's amazing and it's great, and I'm very grateful for it, and I'm glad that you guys also are able to drink so much.
Question.
It could be about anything.
Right here.
My name's Brock. I'm a
Polar
math
bear.
major.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the polar bear
Yeah,
guy.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Currently, Seth MacFarlane is executive producer on Cosmos: A Space-Time Odyssey with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes.
I was wondering if you were gonna do anything, if you plan in the future of doing any like math or science programming, because I know you're in love with the universe.
I am. Not currently. No. So far, my scientific television exposure has been like getting baked and watching Planet Earth on the Discovery Channel. I don't. Yeah. Seth MacFarlane's a much smarter guy than I am. I didn't even graduate high school, guys. I don't know. I've been watching Cosmos, being like, wow, that's how the universe works. That's amazing. So yeah, I have a 10th grade education. So, 11th grade, you're right, 11th grade education. So I started the 11th grade, but no, maybe one day. Who else?
Right over here.
What was it like filming and choreographing the fight scene with Zac Efron, and did you guys actually get hurt at all during that scene?
No. We filmed it over the course of one day. We kind of choreographed it as it went along. I honestly wasn't thrilled with the dildo going in my mouth. And I think Zach could tell I didn't like it, and so he kept really shoving it in more and more and more. And then we show the movie to audiences and we test them, it's called, and if like a joke doesn't get laughed, then we take it out of the movie. And I was like praying that the dildo in the mouth wouldn't get a laugh. And then I was in a theater and everyone laughed really hard, and I was like, fuck, I guess we're doing the dildo in the mouth joke. You can't fight the audience.
There you go.
They want what they want.
Over here.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been asked this over the years a lot, but from your perspective, why did they cancel Freaks and Geeks and Unprepared?
Oh man, because no one watched them is the simplest answer. Yeah, when your TV companies like people to watch their shows, so their marketing revenues go up. And Freaks and Geeks, yeah, I mean, you guys were literally probably 10 years old when that show was first on. It was on Saturday nights at 8, not the best time slot for a show targeted at young people. But yeah, no one liked it. No one watched it. And now that there's Netflix and shit like that, like way more people have seen it, and it's amazing because at the time, like none of that stuff existed. TV shows didn't even come out on DVD at that time, really. So when it got canceled, we all literally just thought like, oh, that'll just disappear into thin air and no one will have ever seen it or heard of it really. So it's amazing what technology can do. Am I right, guys? Anyone else?
Over here.
I just wanted to know if you could speak to what your motivations behind starting Hilarity for charity was.
Well, that's a nice question.
That's a great question. Well, my wife's mother got diagnosed with Alzheimer's when she was in her early 50s. This was around when we started dating around 10 years ago. And it was really fucked up, for lack of a better word. It was truly devastating, and I didn't think it could happen to people who were that young. You know, it's something that you picture happening to like your grandparents or your great-grandparents, not your parents, you know. And then you look into it and you realize that there's really nothing to be done. There's no treatment, there's no cure, there's no doctor will say like, oh, do this, it might help, do this, it might help. Like there's literally zero thing that is scientifically proven to help Alzheimer's in any way, shape, or form. And when you're faced with that, it's just such a bummer that you desperately try to do anything to make yourself feel better. And you look into how the disease is funded by the government and you see like, oh, that's super fucked up. Like it's way underfunded in comparison to other diseases. And so we really just tried, honestly, in an attempt to make ourselves feel better, you know, tried to raise money and get attention. And I know a ton of comedians, so I thought like, oh, we'll throw a comedy show and we'll give the money to the Alzheimer's Association. And then slowly that kind of turned into like an organization, and we started doing it again, and then we started doing it in other cities, and then we came up with this idea. And I mean, it's really only been around for like 3 years was the first time we did anything. Yeah.
Yeah, we came up with the idea 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago. So, I mean, in that time, it's expanded a lot. But honestly, more than anything, it makes us feel better. It makes us feel like we're not just sitting there slowly watching someone deteriorate. It feels as though we, are doing something to help the situation rather than just complaining about it. And we're doing something that we enjoy. We're putting on comedy shows and we're showing our filthy movies. Like, it's not a massive leap between what we like and would be doing anyway and just funneling that efforts towards a charity, I guess.
There was a question back here in the back right. Or back left, I'm sorry, yes.
I just want to thank you for teaching me how to roll a cross joint.
No problem.
What are your hopes for Alzheimer's research in the future?
That was a two-parter. Like the cross joint itself. It would be amazing if they got more money and funding. I went and spoke to Congress, and it was crazy how little reaction it got from the government itself. Like, most of the people on the committee didn't even bother showing up to hear the testimonies. But that being said, almost in direct juxtaposition of that, the public reaction was massive, and a video of me talking about Alzheimer's went viral. Millions and millions and millions of people watched it, and in a way it was very inspiring, but in a way it really put a fine point on the massive discrepancy between the public's desire for something to be done and the government's energy and what they are putting it towards. They literally couldn't have seemed much less interested in what I was saying. I remember watching when they were testifying about steroids in baseball, they had a full fucking house. But for Alzheimer's, it's who gives a shit? So it was clearly not something that they think is cool, or not something that they think, politicians are just like anyone else. They want to be popular and they want to keep their jobs. And so unless something is telling them that you won't have your job anymore unless you tap into this popular thing that people care about, they won't do anything about it, And I think, again, maybe that was the first step in doing that. But I think, honestly, it's like young people. It's literally this kind of thing that is the most helpful, because, I don't know, it seems like the older generation might be a lost cause when it comes to this, and the re-education might be too vast an undertaking to do, and we should just start fresh with you guys. It seems like as good an idea as any,
Right around.
This question is to Lauren.
Yeah. That's a good question.
That's a really good question. Well, my favorite movie is Take This Waltz. I don't know how many of you have seen that.
It's a small independent.
It's
It
a small
probably played at
independent
this movie theater.
But then I would say this one and Knocked Up are tied for a close second in my mind. And then my least favorite.
Observe and Report. You don't like?
Yeah,
very
well, I
much,
just don't
do
like
you?
his character in Observe and Report. It's a good movie, but he's so in it that I don't like it.
Any other Lauren questions?
Yeah. It could be
You
anything.
don't have to. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right here. Go for it.
I have a question for you. I love your movie For a Good Time Call.
Thank
It's
you.
hilarious. You're so funny. Tell
Thank
me
you.
what movie projects you have coming up.
Well, I'm writing a remake of a movie that probably none of you have seen called Troop Beverly Hills, starring Shelley Long from
It's
the 80s.
like for 10 of you, it's your favorite movie ever, and for the rest of you, you've never fucking heard
Yeah,
of it.
which is fine.
Unless
But
you had an
it's-
older sister, there's no
Yeah.
reason for you to.
But it's very girly and fun, so that's what I'm currently writing for Sony. And I have a small part in a little independent movie that should play here once it gets distribution, I hope, called Growing Up in Other Lies. I know lots of stuff always in the works. You got to throw as much shit against the wall and then see what sticks. That's what I do.
Right here.
Whoa.
We'll take both of you first, front row first.
All right, sounds good. How did you two meet, and what's it like being married to Seth Rogen?
Well, we met 9 years ago.
Yeah.
My friend was dating his friend.
Yeah, and we met at a party.
We went to a party together.
Yeah. And then we hooked up. It was dope.
Not that night.
Not that night. Few nights later. I
Like-
took her to see Cinderella Man, which dates the whole event.
I don't think
That just opened in theaters. Russell Crowe boxing movie. And then I wooed her. Yeah.
Well, when we met, this was before 40-Year-Old Virgin had even come out, and so
I was just a schlubby Jewish guy, not a movie star.
Yeah, so that's
I had to work a lot harder back then. Yeah.
that's the view I see. I'll never forget. I remember the first time I was with him. It was like we'd been like dating a couple weeks, and someone recognized him from Freaks and Geeks, and I thought, well, that was weird. I hope that doesn't happen a lot. And now it sometimes happens.
Over here.
And this is the end. Is Michael Cera really like that? Because I just pictured
No.
No.
Michael Cera's Michael Cera's actually what you think he's like. He's a sweet little nymph of a man.
You just kind of want to.
You just want to hug him and nestle him. Yeah, he's that is his actual jacket that he wears in the movie though. That bright windbreaker.
Let's go to this side right here.
Yeah. Is anything in Superbad based on events that happened in your life?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff in Superbad is based on events that happened in my life. I couldn't get laid, so that was the major motivation behind the movie. A lot of little things, like one of our friends got a fake ID, and they were the first to get a fake ID, and then,
Period blood.
Oh yeah, the period blood is a real story. We were at a school dance actually, and it played out almost exactly how it played out in the movie. One of our buddies, Matt, had it, and we were like, "What is that? Is it wine?" And then we slowly realized what it was. Still don't know who did it. And a few of those things. I think we store beer in detergent containers because when we were in high school, we stole a keg from behind a bar, and then we realized we could return the keg for money. So we took all the beer out of the keg and kept it in detergent bottles because it was the only thing we could find that was big enough to store it in. And so little things like that worked their way into the movie.
Right here in front.
Hi, what with Ali G Resurrection sort of ending its run, I was hoping maybe you could talk a little bit about what maybe your favorite parts of that show that you wrote, maybe some of
Yeah. I have a writing partner named Evan who I wrote Superbad and Pineapple Express, and we produced this together. We did this at the end. Our first paid job ever together was for the Ali G show. They had never heard of Spring Break because they're British, so we pitched them that they should go to Spring Break and have the guys do a lot of homoerotic activities, and then tell them that they're on gay TV. That was one of, and that went very awry a couple times, and Sasha almost got like the shit beat out of him. But he's a very brave man, and it was always a little nerve-wracking to work on the show. We did feel guilty sometimes, honestly, because we just kind of fucked with people. But yeah, in general, it was a great job. We're still good friends. He's, in my opinion, like one of the funniest, kind of most ballsy comics out there. And so it was a great first job. If you haven't seen the show, watch it on Netflix.
Right here in
I have a
front.
question.
Theater owner.
Are you and James Franco going to be performing at Kanye and Kim's wedding?
No. I wish. I know. We all wish. No. Franco, we've been grounded, me and Franco. No, yeah, we had a conversation about it, but Kanye West ultimately opted out of it, I think. Wisely so.
Over here.
Who are some of your favorite people that you've worked with, and who have you not worked with that you would like to?
I mean, my favorite people are the people that we work with. It's no coincidence that we keep working with the same people all the time. We really like them. James Franco, obviously. Dave Franco, James's younger brother. Dave is actually in Superbad. Like, I've known him a really long time. You know, Jonah and Craig Robinson and Danny McBride. I mean, all the people in This Is the End really are the people that we really like to work with. As far as people I haven't worked with yet, man, I don't know. Bill Murray is someone I'd love to work with. He's like the funniest dude of all time. Yeah, I'd love to work with Bill Murray. That would be great.
This lady right here on the aisle seat.
I was the one who interviewed earlier, and I didn't get to ask all the questions.
I remember, yeah.
So, dead or alive, who would be one person that you would want to smoke with?
Dead or alive? You got to go with Bob Marley, I think, on that one, right? It seems silly to say anyone else.
Why?
Because he's Bob fucking Marley, for Christ's
How about a question in the very back? Yes, over here.
When you're smoking pot in the movies,
Yeah.
are you actually smoking pot?
No, you're not. I wish I could say you were. It's this shit called wizard smoke. I don't know what it is. It tastes terrible, and it's the exact opposite of smoking weed. It tastes terrible, and it gives you a headache and makes you feel bad. Yeah, you can't smoke weed on a movie set. They don't like it. It's like you can't tell, but there's like 200 people standing behind the camera, and often they have, they don't want you to smoke weed around them. Basically, they have dangerous jobs. They're driving equipment.
This blue shirt right here.
James Franco, I've never smoked weed with James Franco ever in my life. Yeah, isn't that depressing? Yeah. That shows how deep the illusion of film goes.
Go ahead.
Does Craig actually have that towel?
He does, yeah. The towel's based on Craig Robinson's actual sweat towel.
He brings that everywhere.
Yeah, he brings it everywhere. Like, and he actually has his name embroidered on one of them.
Customized.
And same with the take your panties off thing. Like, he actually...
Well, that's like his act.
That's like but like I've been to many house parties where Craig breaks out a keyboard and leads everyone in a chorus of "Take Your Panties Off," and I think he actually had a shirt. Like, it's not as cool as the one we had in the movie, but I think he had a shirt that just said "Take Your Panties Off" on it.
He gave them away.
Yeah, he threw them out at shows actually. Yeah, so yeah, that's largely based on the real Craig Robinson.
How about on this right side? Anybody?
Anybody? It doesn't have to go a half hour.
Do you have any sort of life motto or a favorite quote?
No, not really. I just try to have fun.
Out of all the projects you've done, what's your favorite?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, I think we always are kind of most excited about whatever it is we're currently working on, honestly.
Always topping yourself.
Yeah, like we always are trying to do stuff that we've never done or that is exciting or original to us. So me and Evan just finished directing our second movie with me and James Franco are the stars of it, and we're editing it right now. So to me, that's the most exciting thing we're working on because it's very new and it's. Yeah, I think like once you're done a movie and it comes and people have seen it and you know it's funny and it works and functions, then in my head I kind of scratch it off the list and then try to look forward to the next one.
Right here, the young lady in front.
This is for Lauren. We'd love to hear, when did you notice changes in your mom, and what did you do, and kind of the steps you took when you first started seeing those changes?
So I first noticed changes in my mom at my college graduation when I was 22. And, you know, she was just repeating herself, just like saying the same stories over and over again. And unfortunately, both of my grandparents had Alzheimer's. And so I was very familiar with the symptoms. And so I just sort of had this internal devastation that I ignored. And then a couple years later, when we were dating, and I was out in LA at this point, my parents had come out to visit to meet him for the first time. And it was really clear that something was changing within her. So Seth was actually the first person that I talked to about it. And I, you know, have gone through the full range of emotions with it, you know. I mean, to lose a loved one is, as anyone who's gone through that, is terrible. And so, but for me, I, you know, spent a lot of time being angry and frustrated and without hope. But creating Hilarity for Charity has changed that completely for me. And I feel so lucky that I get to do this because it erases so much of that darkness that I felt. And I can spend time with my mom now and not leave in tears. And because I tell her, like, I've told her so much about all of you guys and what you guys have done specifically. And I was with her yesterday and I told her that we were coming here. And who knows if she gets it, but when I told her that we raised $120,000 or $130,000 last week, I mean, she doesn't communicate much at all, and her eyes lit up like this. And so, you know, it's really, for me, it's been a really horrible thing that has turned into such a huge blessing.
Over here.
In your opinion, like, what do you think is like the state of the union right now in comedies in Hollywood?
In comedy?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. You know, people like what they like. I think it's almost like anything. Like, quality doesn't always rise to the top. You know, McDonald's will always sell more hamburgers than the dude who takes the time to carefully craft each hamburger and try to make it as delicious as possible. So I think to some degree movies follow those trends. There's a lot of, you know, and I've fallen victim to it myself in the past, the idea of trying to do remakes or cash in on kind of existing ideas or properties. And that stuff does really well, you know. But that being said, I mean, every once in a while, like, great movies that are genuinely funny are well received and do really well, like Bridesmaids or something like that, you know, like a movie that's good and funny and people appreciate it. And
like this one.
Yeah, you know, every once in a while. And for every Bridesmaids, there's 10 movies that fucking suck that do really, really well, and it makes me want to kill myself. But you just got to focus on the fact that, like, every once in a while, like first you have to remind yourself that people generally like shit. So it's, you know, when a shitty thing gets through, you got to be like, oh, well, people love shit. That's kind of how it is. I love shit, you know. I literally ate two McDonald's Egg McMuffins this morning. So, but I think, you know, it's nice when something that's actually good and innovative and original is also received by people and the public, you know, and every once in a while it matches up, you know.
A couple more questions. How about this one, aisle seat right here?
Seeing how you never had the opportunity to join a fraternity because you didn't go to college, would you be interested in being special initiated into the Pi Kappa?
Does he get to learn a handshake?
Do I got to do anything?
Yeah.
Does it involve butts? Okay, let's do it. What do I do? Okay. I'm in.
Right next to
I was hoping it would involve butts, just so you know. That wasn't a negative question.
My name is Abo. Thank you again for coming.
No problem.
You know, you said you started in this industry writing.
Yeah.
How exactly did you realize that you wanted to act, and what are some of the steps that you did to get yourself into
I started doing stand-up comedy when I was in high school, and when I was like 13 or 14, and at the same time, me and Evan started writing the script for Superbad. And some of the ideas that I would do in stand-up would be in Superbad, and some of the jokes in Superbad I would kind of try out on stage every once in a while. But like, from a very young age, we really knew that we wanted to work in movies and make movies. And then it kind of happened organically. Like, through doing stand-up comedy, I got an agent, and Freaks and Geeks was literally the second audition I ever got sent out on as an actor. And they did casting all over North America, so they went to Vancouver, where I'm from, and Vancouver's a city where they make movies and stuff like that. So it's not like I grew up, like in the middle of fucking nowhere and had to do it. Like, there's some infrastructure there. So. Yeah, I mean, I got on Freaks and Geeks when I was 16, and James Franco was on that show, and Jason Segel was on that show, and Judd Apatow was the executive producer of that show, and I literally worked with all those same people for the next 16 years or so, and I continue to today, basically. Nick Stoller, who directed this movie, I met on Undeclared, which is a college show we did. We shared an office together when I was 18 years old. We were both writers for the same show. He's only a few years older than me. He was like 22 at the time or something like that. So, I mean, it's like anything. Like, you meet people that you work well with, and it happens so rarely that I like desperately cling to those people and try to keep recreating the same thing over and over again.
2 more questions.
I realize that you guys haven't been able to probably spend a lot of time here, but I mean, in your visit here, is there anything that you guys will take away from your visit here to Vermont?
How awesome this amazing group of people are. The fact that you guys did this, I have no words to express the appreciation.
Like, we didn't know how this was going to go at all, honestly. Like, we thought maybe like 10 schools would enter, and I was like, I'm going to end up going to fucking South Carolina for a school that raised $500. Like, I literally remember saying that to her. I'm like, this is not going to work. Like, college kids are not going to take their time to do this. And we didn't publicize it that much. Like, we kind of were wanting to see like what the organic level of enthusiasm was, and it was shocking, honestly. Like, it was so far beyond what we imagined it would be. We, again, if all the schools combined raised $26,000, we would have been thrilled.
I would have been thrilled with 20 grand overall.
Exactly. The fact that like just this school did that, it's incredible, and yeah, we'll always have a special place in our hearts for Burlington, Vermont.
So I'm wondering, given what you just said, what do you hope young people, college students, will take away from this, seeing an event like this go well?
I mean, I don't think college students, I think this is something that they know, but it's that they're capable of making huge change. Like, I don't think that's a mystery to you guys. You guys know that. Like, I remember being in college, and like, I think that it's important to recognize, what you care about, and like what we're doing, take what you're doing anyway and funneling that into something for good. Like, you guys have parties all the time. Just have parties and raise money for something that you care about. Like, it's so simple, and I think, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, we're essentially doing we're doing what we would be doing anyway, essentially, and we're just applying it to something that we personally care about, which makes it even more gratifying than when we would be doing it in the first place. So it's really like a win-win situation, and it's nice to be able to show. Like, when I was young, like, the idea of doing charity was weird. It felt fake. It felt like, what am I going to do? Get up and talk about this stuff that doesn't matter to me, or like, but eventually you'll find something that does matter to you, and it won't feel fake. It'll be like talking about yourself, and that, I think, is a very good lesson for the kids.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming.
Thank you, guys. Seriously, thank you so much.
I appreciate it.